What's going on, folks? It's your boy Monkey, and we are back with another banger video. I'm currently outside again walking, so excuse the rustling of the leaves and me walking and the birds and shit, even the roosters that I walk past. Excuse them. My house is too fucking hot. I had to get outside and record this video because I just could not record in my room. I didn't want to be sweating. But anyways, folks, before we get into the video, I hope whoever or whatever you're watching from, I hope you're having a great day, morning, evening, night. And I hope you've been having a great month because April's almost over. And honestly, folks, we're almost fucking halfway through the year. This is fucking absolutely mental. Last time I checked, it was like fucking February something, and now we're damn near already in May. So hope you're following your dreams, getting everything done that you need to get done, getting that promotion at work, getting that new apartment, getting the new house, getting the new car. Maybe you want to raise, maybe you're looking for a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a dog. I don't know what the fuck it is. Whatever it is you want, I hope you get it, and fucking pat yourself on the back for coming this far. Alright, folks, now we're gonna get into the fucking story time. Had to get away from the fucking heavy ass leaves and the roosters that are making noise back there. So let's get right into the story, folks. Today's story time is about a time that I decided to pull out the tomfoolery and absolute fucking shenanigans, the goonery, if you may will, folks. The Uncle Monk special, the Bando HotBox, the Bando. Oh God, I don't even know what other words I want to put into it, but hey, folks, let's just fucking go head first with our bananas into this fucking video, right? Now, this day in particular, it was hot. It's fucking the typical East Coast Carolina fucking weather. So super muggy, super hot, just wet, sticky fuckery, right? That's what it is. Beautiful states I hear, but I don't know how the fuck people live down here. But whatever. Hey, we're gonna keep chugging along. So, excuse me. Now, I don't know if anybody watched my other abandoned videos. I definitely wish I would have taken some more time and taken some more notes on those. I do have some ideas for those coming soon. But if you don't know anything about abandoned places, I'll give you a little rundown. What do they say? Take only for photos, leave only footprints. Don't go with stupid ass people. Don't take anything from there. Don't break anything. The same way you go in is usually the same way you go out. Don't go in one way and then forget where you came in from and get stuck or whatever the fuck. Because that would not be good. I've had that happen to me before, but that's probably another story time video. But hey, we're going to keep chugging along here, folks. Now, this day, I don't know why I chose this day in particular. I just kind of woke up and it was like an impulse. I was like, you know what I'm going to do tonight? I'm going to go to the Bando. I'm going to go to this Bando. I'm going to take a bunch of fucking weed into this abandoned place. And I'm going to absolutely get zoinked, zonked, and zooted. And that's what I did, ladies and gents. We'll get there. Now, I woke up this day pretty late, like 10, 11. The family wasn't there at the house. They actually drove down to another part of the Carolinas to meet up with some more family that had flown in. Little backstory, because that's how the day started. I'm not going to get too much into it. Some family of ours flew in, and they were meeting up with other family members that are already here. They drove down, packed into 2 cars, and then went out to eat, drove to Georgia to see some stuff, turned around and came back, and then they were just hanging out in some part of town. I don't remember where, walking around, and they went to like a pavilion or I don't even know what the fuck it's called, but whatever. Anyways, it was a bunch of like flowers and birds and shit. That's what they went to see. That's what tickled their fancy. They're out exploring nature. I'm smoking nature, all right? We'll get into it. Now, I hit up my plug at about 10:45 in the morning after getting off the phone with some family. They were like, yeah, like I just said, they were like, yeah, we're not here. We're doing A, B, C, and D. through the day. I was like, okay. They're like, we're not going to be home until probably tomorrow. We're going to stay at this family member's house down here. I was like, well, right on. I was like, thanks for letting me know. Had the house to my fucking self. So I started doing some research, as you should always do before getting into the bando. I decided to Google Earth, Google Map, whichever one of those two Johns can give me a 3D picture of the place that I'm trying to go into. And, excuse me, I decided to mark exactly where I was going to park. Hold on, let me get some water. Oh, that's great. Excuse me. I marked right on the map where I was going to park. And I looked on the map on my computer and on my phone. And then I decided to go on a drive. I had the place marked out. I marked out like the two roads in which it was, like on which the roads it was on. I drove past there in the daytime because it wasn't really explorable during the daytime. You couldn't really explore this place in the daytime. So along with driving past it and just seeing where I wanted to go, see where I was gonna park or drive by, or where I could pull in, or if I needed to open the gate or bring some lock cutters and cut something or some shit, right? I drove around it for about 35 to 40 minutes. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to park here. I'm going to walk through here. I'm going to put this, and this here. That way it's already set up. I ended up putting a tarp outside one of the sheds. Because I parked. If you were driving along the place with me and it's on the right-hand side, there is a very big-ass hill. The hill was probably 10 feet up. And at the top of that hill, there was a fence. And all throughout that fence, intertwined through every little hole and crevice of that fence was like vines. And there were like trees growing on the other side of the fence, trees growing on the side of the fence, on the hill. Everything was growing, right? So I was like, okay, I'm going to throw a little tarp here. I'm going to try to park in the back. That way all the trees and the vines can cover my car. I left something over there. I pulled up. I hopped out. I just leaned it against the building. I put a little bit of grass over it. That way I could remember where it was. And then I fucked off. I left. I went goodbye. I decided to hit up my plug and message him for a half ounce. Upon messaging my plug for the half ounce, I didn't think he would get back to me as quick as he did. But my guy right there, he's like, you need a half ounce? Like, I got you. He's like, half ounces are for, I don't remember the fucking number that he said. I'll just make up a random number. He's like, I give you a half ounce for 80, bro. And he's like, I just got some new stuff in today. Go ahead and head on this way. He's like, I do remember you telling me that it takes you a little like 30 to 45 minutes to get here. 30 on a good day, 45 with traffic. He's like, head on down here to this gas station and park on the side of the gas station that has a Subway. It was gas station on the right with diesel and gas pumps, and then on the left side of it, like attached to the gas station, was another parking lot, like a little small parking lot, and then there was also a Subway. He's like, yeah, just park. I'll be parked over there. If you get there, park there. If I'm there, I'll be parked over there. He's like, whenever you're there, or if I'm there, either one of us, whoever's there, call the other. That's a headache. Call the other person and find them, and so then we can get this deal done and we can go on about our day. So I'm about 10 minutes out, 7 minutes, or 10 minutes from being there, excuse me. It's like 10 to 7 minutes away from being where the spot is, and I get a text from him. He's like, hey man, he's like, I'm here. I was like, absolutely. So I meet up with the plug, I dab him up, I get my shit, and I sit in the parking lot for like a little bit longer, and I start staring at this abandoned factory again on my phone. When I get back into my car, I'm staring at the factory. I'm like, I'm going to try to go in here. I'm going to try to get onto the roof. I'm going to climb this, see if I can get a picture of this, photograph this, yada, yada. And then I stayed in the lot and I smoked for maybe 5-10 minutes, and then I fucked off back home. because I didn't want to be out with a bunch of flour on me, and I needed to get home to put it in my stash box in my little stash area. So I go home, and I just gamed for most of the day until I got to being out at nighttime. I just gamed up until the sun went down, probably about 1900 hours, and then I got dressed again to go back out. And this is where it gets crazy, folks, so let's just fucking get into it. I changed into my little cargo pants with like the 17 pockets, and the same with my shirt that has all the pockets, my hoodie. I got my mask on, my little hat, had my GoPro and my cameras charging throughout the day, making sure everything's good, make sure my SD cards are up to par and erased and have footage on them, at least like an hour or two of footage on them. And I started driving over to the bando in the exact same spot that I said I put those leaves over and those branches over that tarp. Fucking park right there. From my house to that bando, it was probably like a 10-minute drive. So I pulled up there. I threw my four-ways on. I remember when I pulled in there because there was a car behind me. I didn't know if it was a cop. And I just got out and put my flashlight on my tire. And I was like, damn, I got a low tire. Just to kind of fuck around and make them think that something was wrong with my tire. The car behind me sped off. And then I pulled farther back behind the building like I had originally intended to do. So I pulled on back there. I got out of the car and I walked around to the trunk of my car. Now, I decided to bring my weed with me because I wanted to get stoned. So I turned on my GoPro camera, I got out my phone for the camera, got my flashlight, got my snacks, got my water, put everything in my little bag, put my bag on, and I was just kind of standing there behind my trunk, grinding up all the flour, packing it into the chillum, packing it into the bowl, packing it into the king palms, and just getting ready for some all-out absolute fuckery. Now, folks, upon me standing behind my car, I was probably over there. I was behind my car for a good 10 to 20 minutes just grinding up weed and grinding and stuffing my pipe, stuffing my chillum. I think I had 4 or so packets of King Palms. Damn, hopefully, excuse the traffic. I had like 4 or so packets of King Palms that all held a gram. So I stuffed each and every single one of those King Palms to the brim with the ganj. I think I took 3 with me. And I took my chillum. I believe I left my pipe and the other 5 that I had stuffed in the car so I could smoke when I came back into the car. I looked around the area. I was like, there's no cops. I was like, there's just a Hispanic family fucking blaring music that I hear. I heard like mariachi music and shit. I smelled tacos. I smelled an arrangement of things. I smelled the weed because I had just sparked up. I smelled like Mexican food because there was a family that lived not too far from the factory, and they had a bunch of people over. And then I was getting some really bad like asbestos moldy smell. Those of you that don't know anything about the bando, all bandos have like a unique smell. Whether that's mold or asbestos or a fucking dead animal, a dead body, something. Something is there's a reason why it fucking smells bad in there. Now, I notice how I say I parked next to these little garages. That's where I put that tarp down. My intent was to put the tarp over my car, but I just left it there. I left that tarp on the floor. I moved the branches off of it and kind of kicked underneath my car to grab it when I went back, sparked up, if I didn't already say, sparked up a King Palm, and I'm walking with these garages on my right side. So, car's tucked in, and I walked in front of my car by the hood, turned right, and then turned right again. And now these garages are on my right side. The one on the right door, there was a double door. The right door was closed. Left door was open, so I went in and like kind of wandered around. Nothing much. The first one was empty. The second little garage that was like 20-30 feet from that one, it was also a double door garage. They were both open. It just had like a bunch of wooden pallets and broken tools and toolboxes, shovels. There was a lot of bricks in there, a lot of concrete. There was like old unused like concrete bags and a lot of like containers full of liquid and things. I'm not going to get too far into the explanation of what was in it, because that'd be a whole fucking video of me describing what everything was in there. So I left that second garage and went down to the last single garage. And I looked into that one, and that one again had more pallets. It had like a pickaxe, a shovel, more bags of concrete, more bricks. And then I found a pillow. There was a pillow, there was a little stuffed animal, and then there was like a fucking moldy, smashed McDonald's bag. I was like, damn, some homeless guy in here has been chilling. So I left out of there and I walked. So now I walked down a little hill that was there. So now keep in mind my car and the garage doors, the garage buildings are behind me. Behind me is sort of on my right. So I sort of diagonal from me. I walked down this little hill. I went to the left and I'm looking through the right on the trees because there was a tree line on my right. So I'm shining through the right side. I'm shining my flashlight on the right side, looking, talking to my camera. And I look forward to the other part of the factory that I can see down there, probably about 10, 20, up to 50 yards down. And then I turn to the left to scan the building, and I'm looking up, I'm looking down, and boom, I found the entryway, I found the door. So my king palm went out, so I re-sparked that motherfucker. I finished the whole king palm right there in that doorway. I finished the whole king palm right there in that doorway. And upon entering this place, I could turn left and go down the stairs. I could turn left and go up the stairs. I could walk back to the left and stay on that same floor and explore the area. Or I could turn to the right and go down. It looked like a little corridor. I could go down through like 2 or 3 little areas, 2 or 3 doors, and see other parts of the factory. I decided to turn right and go explore the level part of the factory first, which is not much to explain, not much to explore. Just a lot of like old shelves, a lot of lockers, a lot of oil containers, more of these concrete bags, more bricks, more shovels, more wooden pallets. So I explored a little bit of that. Then I turned around and went back to where I entered the building at, and I went up the stairs. I was like, I'm gonna save downstairs for last, and you'll see why in a minute. So I'm on the main floor in the back where I can't really see much. So I go up to the second floor, and it's just sort of the main part of it. Half of the upstairs was open, and the other half was closed off with like rooms and doors and little machinery rooms. So I started kind of just looking at all the paint and everything. There was some foul words and some body parts spray painted on the wall, and you see it in every single one of the houses, I'm pretty sure, that the goons have been to. It says like, call this number for a good time. It said like, I think I remember it said call Jessica, and it straight up had a number. It was like 555-555-4454, and it had a number, and it straight up said, I just had it spray painted, and then someone spray painted, I called, good time, you call. Just like typical weird, probably teenager spray painting shit. But anyways, I'm on the second story, and I managed to wander around and get through one of those doors, and I found the front of the building. I found the front where, if I'm looking out, my car and those garages are on the left, the office is kind of in the middle, and then across the street is those little houses that I was talking about. And that one house that was partying had lights on, so I was like, sort of, excuse me, a stutter again, I was using that as a guidance, I guess you could say, because their light was illuminating most of the street. So I'm sitting up there, and I was like, I want to use my chillum or bowl, whichever piece of glass I brought. I was like, I want to smoke some glass. So I pulled out the piece, and I'm puffing again, and the windows on the second floor are smashed, and then all of a sudden something falls behind me in another room. And like most people would probably run away from that, but I ran towards it. I got my flashlight out, and I was like scanning, looking, and it was just like a fucking little can. Scared the shit out of me. I ended up putting the chillum away, but once the coast was clear, I ended up re-sparking it. I actually re-sparked it shortly after because I found another floor above the second. So I explored the second, got a view of the houses across the street, the main office, the garage, a little glimpse of the corner of the garages, and then I went up one more flight of stairs to the third story of the abandoned factory. And there wasn't much to see on the top floor of the factory. It was just like, oh my god, I don't know how to fucking explain it. Like, if you've never been to an abandoned place, there's just like a bunch of shit laying around. There's just like a bunch of garbage laying around. There might be Like this place seemed to be some sort of brick factory, because it had like bricks everywhere, and concrete bags and clay bags and shovels, pickaxes, like wheelbarrows. That's what was on the third floor. There was 2 wheelbarrows leaning against the wall. I actually ended up knocking one of those over on accident, making a big ass noise. So I'm sitting there chilling, and I wandered to the corner of the floor where I found another little open area, and I found a window again. And again, this window was bashed out. So I'm sitting there looking outside the window. I have my flashlight on, and I propped it up against in the corner was a wheelbarrow. That one fell over, and then on my left, just to the other side of this little glass panel, there was a little desk, like a little cabinet locker thing. I don't know what the hell it was. It was welded into the wall, and I just set my flashlight onto there and put my pieces up there to kind of load more, which is probably not a smart idea because it smelled really bad. So I took my pieces off there and put them back in my bag. I was like, that was a fucking stupid idea. It was all weird and sticky and smelly. I don't know why I took out my tray to put it on this little shelf next to this window. So I just pulled my pipe out again. I pulled out my flour, pulled out my pipe instead of trying to reload a joint. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. So pipe's out, grinder's out, and I'm loading the bowl, and then all of a sudden I hear tires, not like someone driving by. I hear tires turn into the factory, and I'm kind of squatting down. I'm sort of squatting down, like a sumo squat, sort of like smoking. And I stood up and I clicked my light off. And lo and behold, ladies and gentlemen, who's here? Who's parked inside the fucking abandoned factory lot right by the front office? There's a fucking police officer. I knew right away because the bright blue lights on the top. I was like, fuck, there's a cop. He turned in and then kind of turned around and back there and sat there for like maybe 2 or 3 minutes. I didn't smoke. That's probably the only time I did not smoke during this whole time of me being there, was when that cop fucking pulled up. And like this whole place smelled like weed. I knew for a fact, like out there smelled like weed. If he would have rolled down his windows, he'd have probably smelled all the weed too. So I let it out. I put everything away. Or I put everything out, excuse me. I still had everything out. I was about to blaze up again. And then after watching him for like 5 to 10 minutes, he got a call, flipped his lights on, turned his sirens on, and he left. He turned out, went to the right, and booked it down that road. So I was like, oh, phew. I was like, holy shit. Thank goodness that this guy is gone. And there's really not much else for me to explain about the story. Was I just stayed up there on that top floor for like another 5 to 10 minutes exploring it. And I ended up sparking another bowl or chilling, whichever one I had. I don't remember. Whatever piece of glass I had. Whatever glass I had, I finished sparking that. I loaded another bowl's worth. And I smoked more. Went down to the second story. Smoked more. Went down to the first story. Smoked more. Went out that door that I went out. Walked up that little path. Garages were on my left. And I ended up getting in my car and leaving. I smoked a little bit more in my car before I left. I got home after like a 10-minute drive and smoked more. And there's really not much else to the story. That's about the time that I hotboxed and smoked in the bando. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will see you in the next video. Peace.